before the skyline rose and glass towers caught the morning light, before the name Toronto meant finance, culture, or global influence, this place was defined by water, forest, and movement. Long ago, Lake Ontario stretched out like a quiet inland sea, its surface reflecting endless sky, while rivers carved paths through dense woodland. This land did not wait to be discovered. It was already known, already lived in, already connected to the rhythms of nature and human passage. Stand here centuries ago and you would hear the sound of canoes cutting through water, voices carried on the wind, footsteps along well-worn trails. Indigenous peoples, including the Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and later the Mississaugas of the Credit, understood the power of this geography. Toronto sat at the crossroads of trade routes linking the Great Lakes to the interior of the continent. Long before railways and highways, these paths made the region a place of exchange, of goods, ideas, and cultures. The very name Toronto is believed to come from a word meaning, where there are trees standing in the water, a poetic description rooted in lived experience. When European explorers arrived in the 18th century, they saw what indigenous communities already knew: this land mattered. The British established a small settlement here, naming it York, a modest colonial outpost shaped by military concerns and imperial ambition. Life was slow, harsh, and uncertain. Muddy roads, wooden buildings, and long winters defined daily existence. Yet even in its earliest days, York carried the quiet promise of growth. That promise began to unfold in the 19th century. As Upper Canada developed, York became Toronto once more, reclaiming its original name and stepping into a new role. Its port connected agricultural lands to global markets. Immigrants arrived from Europe, bringing labor, skills, and traditions that would slowly reshape the town. Brick replaced wood. Institutions formed. Streets expanded. Toronto was becoming a city, not through sudden explosion, but through steady accumulation. Unlike cities defined by a single dramatic moment, Toronto grew through persistence. It did not burn and rebuild like Chicago, nor did it boom overnight like gold rush towns. Instead, it evolved carefully, shaped by waves of immigration and a culture of adaptation. Irish laborers, Jewish merchants, Italian builders, Chinese entrepreneurs, and many others added layers to the city's identity. Each wave left marks that never fully disappeared. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Toronto had become the industrial and commercial heart of Canada. Factories lined railways. Banks and newspapers shaped national discourse. Yet the city carried a reputation for restraint, even conservatism, a place serious about order, stability, and incremental progress. Some called it Toronto the Good, a nickname reflecting both moral discipline and social rigidity. But beneath that calm surface, change was gathering momentum. The 20th century brought transformation at a scale never seen before. Streetcars expanded neighborhoods outward. Skyscrapers began to rise. The city absorbed surrounding towns, growing into a metropolitan organism. World wars reshaped industry and population, pulling Toronto further onto the global stage. After the Second World War, immigration surged again, this time from Southern Europe, the Caribbean, Asia, and later Africa and the Middle East. Toronto was no longer simply a British colonial city. It was becoming one of the most multicultural cities on Earth. This diversity did not arrive without tension, but it also brought extraordinary energy. Languages mixed on sidewalks. New cuisines filled the air. Cultural traditions overlapped and blended. Toronto's identity shifted from uniform to plural, from cautious to curious. It became a place where the world gathered not by accident but by choice. And always Lake Ontario remained, quiet, vast, and grounding. It shaped climate, commerce, and imagination. It reminded the city that no matter how tall it grew, it was still part of something larger. By the time the iconic CN Tower pierced the sky in the 1970s, Toronto had crossed an invisible threshold. No longer just a national center, it was announcing itself to the world. The tower was more than a structure, it was a signal. Toronto was ready to be seen. Yet every city carries contradictions. Alongside prosperity came questions of inequality, housing, identity, and belonging. How could a city grow without losing its soul? How could so many cultures coexist without erasing one another? These questions would define Toronto's next chapter. In the next part of this journey, we will follow Toronto through its most dynamic decades, through cultural awakening, global influence, and the challenges of becoming a truly international city while still trying to feel like home. Toronto's story is one of growth, resilience, and transformation. As the 19th century progressed, the small colonial town began to flourish. Railways connected Toronto to the rest of Canada, enabling trade, migration, and commerce to accelerate. Factories began to rise along the waterfront, producing goods that would feed a growing population and fuel the city's expansion. Toronto was no longer just a provincial town. It was becoming a hub of opportunity, attracting people from across the world who carried with them skills, traditions, and dreams. Immigration shaped the soul of Toronto. Waves of Irish, Italian, Ukrainian, Jewish, and Chinese migrants brought not only labor and entrepreneurship, but a richness of culture that would define the city for generations. Each community added its own flavor through food, music, festivals, and architecture, contributing to a mosaic that Toronto is famous for today. These neighborhoods became centers of identity, resilience, and creativity, demonstrating how a city grows not just in size but in spirit. The city faced challenges as well. Fires, economic downturns, and political struggles tested Toronto's ability to adapt. The Great Toronto Fire of 1904, for instance, destroyed large parts of the downtown core. Yet the city's response reflected its character. Reconstruction was swift, modern building codes were adopted, and a new era of architectural innovation began. Skyscrapers started to redefine the skyline, signaling Toronto's aspirations to be a global city. Education and innovation became central to the city's development. The University of Toronto grew into one of Canada's leading institutions, fostering research and scholarship that would shape national and international conversations. Libraries, museums, and theaters expanded cultural horizons, establishing Toronto not just as an economic center, but as an intellectual and artistic one as well. The 20th century brought further transformations. The city expanded northward, with new suburbs accommodating a growing population. Public transit systems connected neighborhoods, allowing the city to evolve as a complex and interconnected urban organism. Toronto's economic base diversified, moving beyond manufacturing into finance, technology, and media, becoming a key player on the global stage. Yet Toronto never lost its human touch. Community initiatives, cultural festivals, and local markets maintained the city's connection to its roots. The Canadian National Exhibition, the Toronto International Film Festival, and neighborhood celebrations like Caravana reflect the city's dedication to culture, creativity, and inclusivity. Toronto was proving that growth could coexist with community, that modernization did not require erasing history. Toronto also became a place of innovation and experimentation. Architects and city planners experimented with blending historic preservation and modern design, creating spaces where heritage and progress coexist. Technology hubs and startups transformed the downtown core into a dynamic center for innovation, attracting talent from across the country and around the world. The city was reinventing itself once again, balancing economic opportunity with quality of life and cultural richness. However, rapid growth brought new challenges. Social inequality, housing pressures, and the need for sustainable development became pressing issues. The city responded with planning initiatives, public spaces, and environmental policies designed to create a livable, equitable, and resilient urban environment. Toronto's evolution was not just about physical growth. It was about cultivating a city where people could thrive alongside infrastructure, nature, and culture. As we look toward the future, Toronto stands as a testament to resilience, adaptability, and vision. It is a city that has faced adversity and emerged stronger, a place where tradition and innovation coexist, where diversity is celebrated, and where each resident contributes to the ongoing story of the metropolis. In the final part of this journey, we will explore Toronto today, a modern, multicultural global city. We will witness how the city harmonizes history, culture, and innovation, and uncover the spirit that continues to define Toronto as one of the most vibrant, resilient, and inspiring cities in the world. The heart of Toronto beats in its neighborhoods, each with its own story to tell. Kensington Market hums with color, smells, and sounds from around the world, a living tapestry of global culture that has persisted for over a century. Chinatown, Little Italy, Greektown, and countless other enclaves showcase the city's extraordinary ability to embrace difference, transforming it into strength. Here, culinary traditions, festivals, and music serve as bridges, connecting generations and cultures, reminding us that Toronto is defined not only by its architecture or economy, but by its people. Innovation thrives alongside tradition. Toronto has become a hub for technology, finance, arts, and education. Universities, research centers, and startups shape the global conversation on sustainability, artificial intelligence, and creative industries. Its skyline, punctuated by modern skyscrapers, mirrors a city constantly pushing boundaries, yet never forgetting the streets, parks, and waterfronts that give it heart. The blending of historic buildings with contemporary architecture tells the story of a city that respects its past while embracing its future. Nature and urban life coexist in remarkable balance. Lake Ontario's shimmering waters provide both a backdrop and a lifeline, shaping climate, leisure, and city planning. Parks, ravines, and green spaces interweave with the urban fabric, offering respite and reflection, while the city's waterfront and islands become hubs of recreation and community gathering. Toronto has learned that a city's vitality comes not only from its buildings, but from the harmony it creates between people, culture, and nature. Challenges persist, as in any major metropolis. Housing affordability, social equity, and climate resilience remain pressing concerns. Yet the city's spirit is one of action and collaboration. Community-led initiatives, civic engagement, and innovative urban policies showcase a population committed to creating a city that is inclusive, resilient, and forward-looking. Toronto continues to demonstrate that challenges are not obstacles to its identity, but opportunities for growth and reinvention. Culture remains Toronto's lifeblood. Music, theater, film, and visual arts thrive, supported by festivals such as the Toronto International Film Festival, Caribana, Pride, and Nuit Blanche. These events draw the world's attention, highlighting the city's role as a cultural beacon. Public art, murals, and performance spaces transform the cityscape into a living gallery, reminding us that creativity is both a reflection and a driver of Toronto's evolution. Toronto's story is a living narrative of resilience, innovation, and inclusion. It is a city that has risen from modest beginnings, navigated challenges, embraced diversity, and emerged as a global metropolis. Its strength lies not just in its economic or technological achievements, but in its ability to bring people together, to blend history and modernity, and to celebrate the richness of human experience. As night falls and the city lights shimmer across Lake Ontario, Toronto stands as a symbol of possibility, a city of dreams, ambition, and connection. It is a metropolis that never stops moving, never stops growing, and never stops inspiring. Its story continues, shaped by every resident, visitor, and dreamer who steps onto its streets. Thank you for joining this journey through Toronto, a city of innovation, diversity, and enduring spirit. If this documentary inspired you, challenged your perspective, or deepened your understanding, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about your favorite part of Toronto's story, and join us in exploring more of the world's most fascinating cities.